I think there are but four key outcomes from the PPP conference. The first one is that the huge funding gap has been identified, or the numbers have been cited, that there is a need for over 900 billion funding into infrastructure in Africa, and that PPPs do present an option to closing that funding gap. That has been clearly established in the process over the past 2 days. What has also come about is that project preparation is a vital tool to unlocking the development of infrastructure via the PPP procurement mechanism. So you've seen a heightened emphasis on project preparation as a tool to unlocking the development of this infrastructure. The third aspect that has really come through from the conference is that community or public participation in PPP process is of crucial importance. A lot of projects have not gone through because the communities were not asked to participate. They resisted the deployment of the project. So it's vital that you really get the community involved. And finally, the need to standardize the PPP framework across different countries, because as an investor you don't want to face different frameworks in different countries in the region. So if it's standardized and to almost same requirements across different countries, it will necessitate the integration of the countries and the regions. I think those are the four key outcomes of the PPP conference. In terms of capacity building, the Development Bank of Southern Africa, DBSA, has a lot of capacity building initiatives in and around all the areas that the bank participates in. The first line of support is to municipalities in South Africa, where the DBSA capacitates those municipalities by either giving them skills or funding to develop whatever their requirements, either with planning or with the implementation of projects. The second level of capacitating relates to, in South Africa, you have a requirement or a procurement requirement which is termed Black Economic Empowerment. This relates to the DBSA supporting previously disadvantaged groups in their investment aspirations in projects in South Africa. So the DBSA stands out and does support through providing specific loans to those parties for their investment in projects in the country. A good example is the recent successful or worldly renowned successful renewable energy projects. Here you have communities, you have empowerment parties being funded by DBSA so that they take equity stakes in renewable energy projects. This has proved to be successfully, to be highly successful in South Africa. The third area is really the support of SMEs or small businesses. The Development Bank has a division called it's called Infrastructure Delivery Division. What they do is really on an agency basis. They receive funding from government, where government wants to build schools, build hospitals, and the division intervenes by carrying out the procurement processes. Here they engage small businesses and thus empowering them in building those schools, in running services for those schools. So those are some of the key empowerment or capacitating projects that the DBSA gets involved in the country. I think what was clear from the PPP conference is that one of the biggest challenges is that in most of the countries you don't have a PPP procurement framework. When you try to do a PPP without a framework, it never succeeds. That has come up in all the stories that were being related by members from different countries. So the need for a procurement framework in different countries has been highlighted as one of the challenges. A second area that really surfaced as a key area for as a challenge is really the lack of community support. It's important that for any PPP to be successful, that there be a process to engage the community and the public in general around the intended PPP. So that is surfaced as one of the areas that has made PPPs not be successful. If you don't have community participation, the process will not succeed. The third area is really poor project preparation, what we call the planning of the project. It takes years to really unpack what is required and to lay out the pathway that a project must follow. And if that's not done properly, the project will not succeed. So again, planning is surfaced as one of the key areas that is required for you to succeed. And lastly, there is a low level of local skills and expertise on carrying out PPP projects. Of course, internationally, there is a host of experienced and skilled individuals in the PPP area, but they're simply not from the local pool, because for it to succeed, you need people who understand thoroughly local knowledge of norms and standards around an area. And you need that over and above the international expertise. So in the absence of local skills, the projects will probably struggle to succeed. The Development Bank is a development finance institution. It has aspirations to profile itself as a development partner in the region, is the partner of choice in financing of projects, and therefore this creates a platform to meet and share experiences with other DFIs as well as sponsors and experts. Also at the PPP conference, this is where you get the highest level of concentration of skills and experience. And we think that this is the right sort of platform to support, because you bring together all the skills and the expertise in one place for them to share ideas. The last reasons really that I think that DBSA has put money aside to support relates to just the mere fact that this platform is where you get to hear people showcasing success stories. You probably have heard that the largest PPP project was done in South Africa. That's the Gauteng project. And for us to have funded that and lead arranged that and share that with other participants from other parts of the continent, we think it's a good thing. This is why we've supported this as the Development Bank of Southern Africa. I think this is a good question and a very important question. PPP units in countries should prepare and surface the priority projects in each country. They are part of government and their script is from the national development plans of each of the governments. So it's their role really to surface and say which ones are the priority PPP projects in their country. The second bit is that they need then to, at government level, link with other national units so that you get a good insight of what the regional priority projects are. This is what investors want. They don't want to spend time unpacking which projects are priority projects. If a PPP unit is there, the unit must surface together in consultation with government what are the priority projects. The second reason why PPP units should do more to encourage investments relates to the PPP units must set up the frameworks, the procurement frameworks under the PPP programs. Each nation is different. It needs to cite what pathway needs to be followed in carrying out PPP projects. So it's the unit's sole responsibility to create a successful framework, an easy to follow framework, which will lead to the successful conclusion of projects. And finally, I think PPP units must take center stage. Remember, we spoke about community involvement being a key feature for the success of PPP projects. It's that unit that must carry out that role. of identifying a suitable community and going out to that community and really consulting the community on a specific project. So it is like a roadshow of sorts by the PPP units to establish the, or to make sure that the communities understand what's going to happen in their area. If you think about it, most investors look to play in a level playing field. This relates to the country legislation. This relates to how people participate in the PPP processes as investors. Investors generally are from outside. So the role of the PPP units is to level the playing field so that it's an equal start for everybody and an equal chance for everybody. This has been demonstrated in countries like South Africa, wherein the PPP unit was responsible in going out to market and establishing the rules of play for investors. And I think the outcome was very successful PPP program in the renewable energy project.